The big clue that helped translation was here, the cartouches, and over decades of hard work, we started to be able to translate hieroglyphics.
A group of researchers in a classified lab just fed a high-resolution scan of the Rosetta Stone into a next-generation AI. They weren't trying to translate the Greek or the hieroglyphs, they already knew what those said. They were training the AI to find patterns between the letters in the very grain of the stone. What the AI spat back out has sent shockwaves through the intelligence community. The stone's famous decree is a cover story. The real message, a message that is truly horrifying, was never meant to be found by us, and it changes everything we know about human history. The ultimate cover-up. The Rosetta Stone is the single most famous piece of rock in the world. Discovered by Napoleon's soldiers in 1799, this slab of granite diorite weighing a massive 1,700 pounds changed history forever. We all know the story. It held 3 identical texts in 3 different scripts: sacred hieroglyphs, common Demotic, and administrative ancient Greek. Because the Greek could be read, scholars like Jean-François Champollion finally cracked the Code of the Pharaohs in 1822. It unlocked the entire ancient Egyptian civilization. But not all things are what they seem. For 200 years, the world believed the stone's message was, to put it mildly, boring. It's a decree from a council of priests in Memphis, praising the pharaoh Ptolemy V.
Egyptian priests made a point of the fact that they wanted to meet in the ancient capital of Memphis.
It details his accomplishments, his tax breaks for the temples, and his general greatness. It was essentially ancient political advertising. We put it behind glass, celebrated our own cleverness in translating it, and moved on. What many overlooked, however, was that we only read what was on the surface. We never asked why the stone was so complex for such a simple message. We never asked what might be hidden in the stone itself. That all changed 6 months ago. A secretive joint project between a state-funded historical institute and a cutting-edge quantum computing lab decided to run a new test. This wasn't about translation. This was about data. They used a technology called terahertz spectral imaging, scanning every millimeter of the stone's surface, mapping not just the carvings, but the microfractures, the density of the rock, and the tool marks left by the original mason down to the micron level. They fed this mountain of data, several petabytes worth, into a specialized neural network codenamed Project Deep Scribe. The AI's job was simple: find patterns that the human eye and even microscopes had missed. The thing nobody tells you is that AI doesn't get tired. It doesn't have preconceived notions. It just sees the patterns. And what it found set the academic world on fire. The first report, which was immediately classified, stated that the 3 texts do not say the same thing.
It was incredibly difficult, and frustratingly, the translations aren't exact. There are differences between each of the 3 texts here, but
Yes, you heard that right. The Greek text is the boring political decree we all know, but the AI found that the hieroglyphic and demotic versions contain extra information, hidden within the symbols themselves. The spacing between letters, the angle of the chisel marks, the depth of the cut. It was all a code. The priests were using the decree as a form of steganography, a way to hide a message in plain sight. The Greek text was the perfect cover. After all, who would look for a secret message in a public notice about tax cuts? The AI decoded this hidden layer. It was not a message of praise, it was a message of pure, unadulterated fear. It was a warning. The hidden text describes a devouring shadow, a sun that wept fire, and an ocean that rose to consume the mountains. It spoke of a great civilization that existed before the pharaohs, a kingdom of golden light that was wiped out overnight. The priests of Memphis in 196 BC were not just carving a new decree, they were desperately trying to preserve a terrifying piece of history they had inherited, a memory of a global cataclysm. But this is where the story truly takes a dark turn. The AI wasn't done. The warning about the past was horrifying enough, but then the AI found the second part of the message. It wasn't just a history, it was a prophecy, and it came with a date, a warning written in stone. So, what was this horrifying prophecy? You see, the AI, Deep Scribe, began cross-referencing the hidden patterns, the chisel angles, the microscopic spacing with known astronomical charts. The priests of ancient Egypt were master astronomers. They were obsessed with the cycles of the stars, like Sirius and the sun. Many people are crazy about this, but what if their obsession wasn't about farming? What if it was about survival? The AI found that the secret Rosetta text laid out a massive celestial clock. It described a long, predictable cycle of the solar system, a cycle that ended in a catastrophic purification. The hidden text explains that our sun is part of a binary system with a dark companion, a brown dwarf or a massive planet on a long orbit that our science has not yet accepted. Every 12,500 years, this companion's orbit brings it through the Oort cloud, sending a shower of comets and asteroids careening into the inner solar system. This is what the Kingdom of Golden Light, a civilization we now call Atlantis or Mu, experienced. They were a global advanced race. The AI found patterns in the stone that looked, to put it mildly, like circuit diagrams and mathematical formulas. The message claims these ancestors understood the fabric of reality, using the song of the earth to power their cities. They were advanced, and they were arrogant. When the Skyfire came, their civilization was erased in a matter of days. The survivors, scattered and reduced to barbarism, were our ancestors. The gods of antiquity, like Thoth in Egypt, who brought writing and knowledge to primitive man, were not gods. They were the last scientists of this lost world, trying to preserve the basics of science and astronomy in the form of myths. This is the secret the Egyptian priests inherited. They knew the cycle was real. They knew it would happen again. The Rosetta Stone, we thought, was carved in 196 BC. But the AI's analysis of the tool marks suggests something even more shocking. The stone is older, much older. The Ptolemaic text was carved over a much more ancient, partially erased message. The priests in 196 BC didn't create the warning. They found it and tried to preserve it, hiding it under the protection of a royal decree. This is the real secret. The Rosetta Stone is a hand-me-down, a relic from a lost world. The horrifying part is that the cycle is not theoretical. The priests were warning their descendants, us, that the great clock was ticking down again. The AI matched the astronomical cycle to our modern calendar, and the date it landed on is in our immediate future. A prophecy we can't ignore. The AI's revelation has been completely suppressed. The thing nobody tells you is that when the DeepScribe AI correlated the 12,500-year cycle, it didn't just give a vague end times prediction. It gave a specific window. According to the decoded message, the Dark Companion is returning. The devouring shadow is approaching. The window for the next purification begins in our lifetime. We are talking about a civilization-ending event. Not a single asteroid, but a shower of them lasting for weeks. The warning describes the sky turning black with smoke, the oceans boiling, and the very ground shaking itself to pieces. It's a description of what scientists now call a cosmic impact event, the same thing that eliminated the dinosaurs. But this lost civilization knew it was coming. They left warnings for us everywhere. What many overlooked is that the Great Pyramid isn't a tomb. It's a marker, a machine, or a shelter aligned perfectly to these astronomical cycles. The Rosetta Stone was the key, the user's manual, and the most horrifying part? The stone contains equations. Hidden in the hieroglyphic layer, the AI identified what appear to be advanced physics formulas. They describe zero-point energy, quantum mechanics, and the manipulation of gravitational waves. It's technology we are only just beginning to understand. The message contains diagrams for a device, a sky shield or harmony generator meant to deflect incoming objects. The lost civilization tried to build it. They failed. They ran out of time. This is the true horror. The Rosetta Stone isn't just a warning, it's a technical document, a last desperate attempt by a dying world to give their descendants a fighting chance. They left us the knowledge to survive the next cycle, and for 200 years we thought it was a thank you note. The implications are staggering. All of human history is wrong. We are not the first advanced civilization on this planet, we are just the latest cycle, and we have forgotten our own past. The myths of the Great Flood, the fall of Atlantis, the wars of the gods in Hindu texts, they aren't myths, They are memories. The AI's findings are now the most classified secret on Earth. You see, the people in charge don't want panic. They want control. They want to understand these equations for themselves. While the public argues over whether the British Museum should return the stone to Egypt, a shadow war is being fought over who gets to control the real data. The data that explains how to build the survival device. But the AI found one last thing, a final terrifying note left by the priest who carved the cover-up. The secret war for the stone. The final piece of the puzzle is, to put it mildly, the most chilling. The AI isolated a set of symbols in the Demotic script, the common language, that were different. They weren't part of the equations or the prophecy, they were a personal note from the carver. It read, "We have hidden this knowledge. The Greek king protects it. But the shadow is not the only enemy. The true enemy is the arrogance of man. They will not believe. They will fight over the knowledge just as the Golden Ones did. They will doom themselves. May the gods forgive us." The priest who carved the Rosetta Stone in 196 BC knew. He knew that even if the message survived, humanity's own nature would be its downfall. And he was right. Right now, the public is being told the Rosetta Stone is undergoing conservation. It's been removed from its public display for deep cleaning. The thing nobody tells you is that deep cleaning is code for intense scientific analysis. Teams from multiple countries are scrambling, trying to replicate the AI's findings. They are fighting over the knowledge, just as the priest predicted. So this is where we are. People watching this are looking for a mystery, and this is the biggest mystery of all. Is this all true? Did this all happen overnight, or have we been missing the clues for centuries? The thing is, when you look at the facts, the official story starts to fall apart. The sudden, unexplained sophistication of the ancient Egyptians, the impossible engineering of the pyramids, which stand over 480 feet tall, the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek computer. We are surrounded by ghosts. The AI didn't just predict the end, it confirmed our darkest, most arrogant fear. The horrifying truth it uncovered in the planetary data isn't just that a cataclysm is coming. That part is simple physics. The real horror, the stomach-churning, sickening realization is that we were given every single tool we needed to survive it. It was all handed to us on a silver platter. We had the complete history. We had the explicit warnings, etched in stone and buried in text we labeled mythology. We even had the technology, blueprints for a science we couldn't comprehend, left behind by a civilization we arrogantly dismissed as primitive. For 2,000 years, we walked right past the instruction manual for our own salvation. Why? Because we thought we were smarter. We thought progress only moved in one direction. We thought our glass towers and digital networks made us gods and them just superstitious ancestors playing with rocks. Take the Rosetta Stone. We hold it up in museums, celebrating it as our grand achievement, the moment our enlightened minds finally unlocked the past. But it was the ultimate test. It wasn't just a simple key to translating a dead language, a dusty puzzle for academics to solve. It was a key to our own future. The inscriptions weren't just about priestly decrees and the reigns of long-dead pharaohs. Hidden in plain sight, they were a message, a desperate plea. They told us exactly what to look for, when to look for it, and what to do when the devouring shadow returned. And we failed the test. We translated the words but refused utterly to read the warning. Now, the clock is ticking down to zero. That shadow is no longer a myth. It's a measurable object, a darkness blotting out the stars on a collision course with our timeline. And what are the most powerful people in the world doing? Are they warning the public? Are they preparing the planet? No. They are in a desperate, secret scramble, fighting in underground boardrooms and black site labs, battling over the scraps of that same lost science. They are building bunkers, not lifeboats. They are hoarding resources, not for humanity, but for themselves. They are hoping to ride out the storm, to save their own bloodlines, while the rest of us, we're just left in the dark, staring at our screens, completely unaware that the lights are about to go out forever. Did the ancients truly leave us a warning, or is this new AI discovery the real threat? The truth might be scarier than any prophecy. Like and subscribe because the story is far from over.